Good morning, everybody. We are on day 2 of our excuse me, our European mount. Yesterday we did the not boiling, hot water, simmering water. Did that for probably about 2.5 hours. Pressure washed, did a little bit more pressure washing. Did some fine tuning with some needle nose pliers as well as some hemostat kind of pliers. Um, got all the organic tissue, membrane, tendons, all the stuff you don't want on this out of there. Put it into a solution with this. I guess it's just a concentrate peroxide whitening solution. Tried that with water. It did make a little difference, but really don't think we're quite there yet. So then I painted some of this on yesterday, let it sit for about an hour, hour and a half. Again, some improvement, but I still think there's a little room. You can see, I think you can see here, just these areas here, 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 still got a little bit of a tinge of off-white, and that may just be what it is. I don't know. I guess I've read some places or in some forums or the internet, whatever that's worth, but that when you freeze it for a while, I guess some of those substances can soak into the bone. That may be an obstacle we're fighting that we can't win, but we're going to try one other thing. We're going to use this solution. We also have a powder version, bleaching powder. Had to visit my local drugstore yesterday evening and ended up coming across this. I thought, you know what, why not? Let's try it and see. So we're going to mix some powder with some of that. It's going to make a thicker paste, and we'll put that all around the whole skull, let it sit for I guess about a half hour, and then rinse it off and see if we've got any change. But all in all, for our first time doing it, I think it's looking really cool. I do wish it was a little bit wider, but if this doesn't work, then I guess to me it's proven that you need to do this as soon as you harvest an animal, and maybe not freezing it. But I don't know. If you guys are experts out there or know more about this, please comment on the right way of doing this. But we're going to mix this up and get it going and do some painting. Alright, got everything in position here. We are totally guessing on how much to use of this stuff. So we're going to do what we think is right, even though it could be wrong. This is just a bleaching powder. So should be, if I understand correctly, the dry version of this salon care bleaching solution. So we're going to put some powder in here. We'll do, it's probably roughly about half. That's 0.77 ounces. So whatever that means, I don't know. We'll get this mixed in together, see what we think about it. Don't have a fancy stir stick, so we're going to use a carpenter's pencil. I've seen lots and lots of videos on YouTube about people doing these, and there's even different versions. People have different ways of doing it. Obviously, we're all trying to get to the same result. And I think the ultimate goal here is to get it get the skull as clear or as pure white as we can get it. It seems to be our ultimate goal. Add a little more powder. Sure, some of these guys have done several videos or have done several of these mounts, and they've got down to a science. But me, this is my first time, so I am jumping out there into the World Wide Web of ignorance and trying to just try to show that you can work yourself through this and hopefully get the results you want, should you elect to want to try and do this yourself. I think it's a really cool looking display. Again, obviously with Dad talking yesterday about the hunt, and seeing it on camera, and getting to, when it goes from the camera to real life, you kind of appreciate it more, because now you start realizing that maybe the camera shows things a little bit differently, things that the camera didn't pick up because we had limited pictures of this animal. Maybe the size of it, maybe it's the details of certain things. It is, when you can see it in real life, I think that's really cool. But there's a thing that we all call buck fever. I don't care. I mean, you get a little 4-point. There's just something exciting for a hunter to be in the stand or out in the woods, and to be able to see a buck, and you get excited. It's hard to describe if you haven't experienced that before. But definitely encourage people to experience stuff like that. Now, yesterday, Dad and I went hunting, and he saw a little 4-point. He watched it for, I guess, probably 30 minutes or so. I had 3 does come out where I was sitting. Kept hoping for a hog to show up, but they decided to come way after shooting hours, so that's just how my luck goes sometimes. That's hunting, but anyway, I watched the does for probably 15-20 minutes. They came out right before dark, and not once did I think, you know what, I want to take one of these does. I want to put meat in the freezer. Nothing wrong with taking a doe. I am a full proponent of keeping the herd in balance, and I think that's one thing that, as hunters, it's kind of our responsibility to make sure that we are doing our part and not let overpopulation happen. And I don't think we're any threat of that happening where we're hunting at, but I think if you can do your part to practice good hunting, good herd management, and when you need some meat, put some meat in the freezer. Nothing wrong with it. Again, this time of year we had the rut going on, so the thing to be cautious about, very cautious about, is if you shoot a doe right now and that doe has been bred already, you didn't just take one deer out of the herd. You took probably as many as 3 with the one that you're harvesting, and then if she's already pregnant, then you've just taken future deer out of the population. And I don't know, it's nothing. I would never give somebody a hard time if they shot one this time of year. For me personally, I think if you're going to shoot does, do it early season. Our hunting season here in Northwest Florida, we really start getting the chance to hunt in October, and it goes all the way through, I think, around the 3rd week of February, thereabouts. I don't have the exact date, but there's plenty of ample time early in the season to harvest a doe. I think that's the best time to do it. I think by first part of December, if I haven't shot a doe, probably not going to shoot one. But anyway, that's just me. But I enjoyed being out there and watching these deer feed, move around. Did get a little video of it. I had to zoom in pretty close, so it's not super clear, and I'll try to include that in this video, but there's just something to be said about sitting out there and watching these animals do their thing. And again, they were oblivious that I was even there, which made it better. I think the distance when they were to where I was sitting at is probably, I don't know, 90 yards, not very far at all, but if they knew I was there, they weren't worried about me. They may have heard I'm a bad shot, who knows. But it was just a lot of fun watching these 3 deer out there doing their thing, and to me that's hunting too. That is just as enjoyable, sometimes more so, to be out there and watch nature do its thing. But I was there for me too. I'm not going to try to sound all high and mighty that I was there just to enjoy nature. I was there to take a hog, hopefully, and make some sausage out of him, but wasn't meant to be. We're going to go again tonight. Christy wants to go and try her hand at it, so we're going to see if the weather holds up. We got a big Arctic blast. It's going to start running through here. It really starts tomorrow, so I'm hoping that animals will move a little bit this evening, hopefully before it gets dark, and maybe we can bag something tonight. So I can tell adding this powder does make this a lot thicker, which I think is great. When I put this solution on just a liquid form yesterday, it was a lot more runny, and I don't know if I was able to get the coverage that I can with this. So hopefully we're onto something here. But I am going to let this sit for a good maybe 30 minutes, 45 minutes, maybe an hour. I don't really know if there's a time I need to pull this off or not, but I'm gonna go for at least 30 minutes. How about that? And then we'll give it the old rinsing and see how it looks. But everything has been painted now with the solution and the powder mix, so we are going to let this sit in the sun. Got a little bit of sun trying to peek through on a cloudy morning, and then we'll give it a rinse and see how we did. Yeah, if it doesn't get any better, any more white than it was before we started, I'm not going to be upset. I mean, yes, I did want it to be pure white, but maybe I'm fighting something that I just can't win here. And if that's the case, then we know for next time what to do a little different. This buck was harvested in, I believe it was December of 2024. So he sat in the freezer for a while. The head did. And I guess the longer it sits in there, just the chemical makeup of our bodies and animal body, all the fats and all the juices, I guess, kind of soaks into the bone structure, and we could be fighting a losing battle here. But if it doesn't get any whiter for our first time, I gotta say I'm pretty impressed. I think this is a really cool mount. Obviously, get a big old monster buck, that'd be kind of pretty freaking cool too. But for a decent, really decent little 9-point here for Florida, he'll look cool. I don't know if we just hang it directly on a nail on the wall, if we get a little creative on woodworking and do like a backer board, or we could even do like a piece of driftwood. That'd be kind of cool to have a nail coming off of that. But let's get this thing where we like it first, and then we have options of what we can do and what we want to do, and we'll go from there. Alright, clock is ticking. We'll come back in 30 minutes and see how it looks. Alright, so now we have got this nice and pasty, and I think maybe on something here. We're going to give it a quick rinse down and see how it all looks. Alright, you can see some whitening in some other places, but I think these dark spots just kind of are what they are. I'm trying to be very gentle. I don't want to run this thing into the side. And these little pieces that I saved in the pressure washing, I hate to knock them off now. That would be very aggravating. Alright, so this is our, what I assume is our finished product. Yeah, definitely a little more tinge than I think I wanted to have. Of course, I am against a white background, so making it look even darker than it would be. But I can see this part here got super white. This part got a lot more white. It's just all this area in here that's got just a little tinge of off-white. So I don't know if it's going to get better. Maybe it'll help sitting in the sun some, but I mean, all in all, that looks pretty cool. Went to the dentist, got his teeth whitened. That's pretty cool, huh? But yeah, I think all in all, we're kind of onto something here. Next time, I think we would do this much sooner and not let it sit in the freezer. Alright, so what do you guys think? Anybody give me some expert advice for future mounts? What I could do differently? I would really appreciate it. Like I said, this is my first time doing something like this, and I've always thought it was cool, never really knew how to do it. I think I have the idea now. I just don't think I'm expert level. But I would love for you guys to comment and let me know what you think I could have done differently, or if I was just fighting a losing battle from the beginning. But either way, that's a pretty cool little look. And we'll figure out if we're going to do backer board, piece of driftwood, maybe just hanging on the wall in general, but I don't know. We've got some options. Next thing is let this dry for a while, and then I never would have thought this, but they say mop and glow is the thing to put on that once it's dried. Doesn't give it a matte finish, doesn't give it a shiny finish. It just, I'm assuming, kind of seals the pores of the bone. But that'll be our next step. But I said you can definitely see it whitened up a little bit. There's just a few spots here and there. They're just a little bit darker, and that may just be what it is. But I don't know if you guys can see this. Hope you can. But these skull plates, when they come together, that is one of the coolest designs, I think. Really hard to get in there, but I don't know, that just looks really cool to me. Alright, so let this one more quick rinse just to make sure I've got all this residue off, and then go back in the partial sun, let it sit for an hour or so, and then I'm going to do some mop and glow. I'll show you guys the finished product when it's all said and done. Alright, inside and got a cup for us to work with here. That's probably more than enough. I I think a lot. I don't know if it's overthinking or what, but just going through this process of doing this European mount, and again, tried to do some research. When I say research, probably what you guys are doing right now on YouTube, looking to see different methods, different chemicals used, different processes, whatever. But I I guess the only thing I would probably do a little different. I don't know. Well, I'll explain this part first. I almost think if I let it sit in that hot water a little bit longer, number one, if some of the tissue would have came off easier, and maybe even um, where the chemical reaction is that basically breaks the tissue down, where I'm not getting some of this slight discoloration on the bone. If that would have helped, the only thing about doing that kind of concerns me is, and these two little parts right here are notorious for breaking off, and you can see, I think you can see it right in here. There's the like a growth plate or whatever anatomy calls that, but people have to super glue them back on because they come off during the pressure washing phase. And I wonder if the fact that we didn't boil it, or again, not boiling, I keep saying boil, it's not boil, it's just a simmer. I wonder if that was kind of my saving grace by not going as long, or maybe even more of a rolling boil. If I'd have done that, yeah, the tissue may come off, but then the trade-off is all this becomes a lot weaker. So I don't know. I guess in hindsight, I don't know what I would do different, with the exception of making, I guess, doing a European mount within, I would say, days of harvesting. That's probably the first step I would take in seeing if there was a difference in the purity of the white. Now, that being said, I really feel like this has come a long ways from where we first started, which is obviously the goal. We want it to look a lot different. If it was the same as it was when we started, then this was all a waste of time. I think we're close to doing it the way we should have done it. I mean, this thing is it's pretty white. I like that. First time ever doing this. I've seen people that have them in their houses or their hunting camps or whatever, and I always thought that's kind of cool. And there's a very popular country music-ish singer. I think has this as one of his logos for album or something. My daughter loves him. I'm not going to mention names, but he is pretty popular with the new generation of country music lovers. And it may be a skull for a bull. I don't. Anyway, that's a moot point. I just think this is a really cool. I want to say artwork. I mean, it kind of is at this point like artwork. I love the idea of having a full neck and head mount. It still has the cape, still has the horns, and the taxidermists do an amazing job. Well, the good ones do. They do an amazing job of giving it that realistic life look. Goodness, the patience a taxidermist has to to make their work look that good. That's impressive. But this is a easy do it yourself, do it at home. If you guys are out hunting and want to do something, maybe it's your son or your daughter's first buck. Maybe it's your first buck. It doesn't matter if it's a spike, if it's a big monster. I mean, everybody's got their own opinion of what they want and what they like. But I would try this again with an even larger buck. Again, nothing away from this deer. This is a good looking buck. I think he was 150-ish pounds, I believe, maybe just shy of that. Which for Florida, that's a good sized deer. We don't grow them like they do in the Midwest and up north and places like that. But for a Florida buck, that's pretty cool. But I think this is a project that was fun. Really enjoyed it. Nervous a lot, hoping I was doing the right thing, and again, especially on the pressure washing side. I mean, everything else I really wasn't too concerned with, but the pressure washing, I just know these pieces right here break off so easily, and they're easily fixed. I mean, it's not the end of the world if it comes off. Just take some super glue and put them back on. And I believe you do that before you start the bleaching or the whitening process. I think you want to have those on, and I've seen people take like rubber bands and put them on here to hold it. Some people just hold it for 30 seconds, a minute, whatever it takes for the super glue to set up. But if it happens, you adapt and overcome. But we were fortunate. Probably never happen again. I may break the next, I don't know, dozen of these that I do over my life, but I think we have got this fully coated. I don't know what you guys think about it, but please let me know. Let me know what you like, what I could have done different. If there's people out there that have done this so many times they could do it in their sleep, please feel free to drop a comment, or if you have a YouTube channel and you've done these and you're happy with the way it turned out, I'm all for you dropping a link in the comments. I just think it would be really cool to see. Again, YouTube has a video for just about everything. You can fix your vehicle, fix your boat, do plumbing. You might can do some electrical if you're feeling really good and your insurance is paid up and not worried about electrical fire. Don't endorse doing that unless you know what you're doing. But some of this DIY stuff, YouTube's a great source, and there's some people out there that have done some amazing videos and really just great job of teaching. And they have the gift of teaching and explaining things. But at the end of the day, I wanted this to be just a little thing for Dad to remember him shooting this buck, and we got to work on it together yesterday. He had to go back in town last night after our hunt to support my little niece with her soccer games and cheer her on. But hopefully he'll be back in the next day or so before I leave. I know we are going to be working up at Sunny Oak Hills. Our last videos have been here. So our last videos have been here at the camp, which I love being at the camp. It's one of my favorite places to come recharge and just stay busy here. But we do fishing, hunting, relaxing. But we're getting back to Sunny Oak Hills. We've got some exciting things coming up. It's a lengthy process to get all the things we want in place. So this is going to be a couple years in the making to do all this. But we do have something exciting that we'll be starting on Monday, I believe. Not in Sunny Oak Hills, but it will be across the highway from Sunny Oak Hills. And we'll explain that once we get going and why we're doing that. But yeah, it's been a fun process doing this European mount. So this is my first one ever, and I'm super excited on how it turned out. Love seeing the contrast of the horns to the white skull, and I would do it again in the heartbeat. I would maybe try a couple small things differently, but as a whole, I think we nailed it. At least 98% success rate. But again, just because this one went good doesn't mean the next one or any of the rest I do turn out as good, better, or worse. But here's to hoping. All right, hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you learned a thing or two. Again, there's some great guys out there that have done some pretty amazing European mounts. Would definitely encourage you to just get your little digits working and type that keyboard European mount DIY European homemade. I don't know what the keywords would be, but get out there, search the internet, look on YouTube, find some guys that have done some really cool things, and just soak it in. I mean, it's cool to watch these things, and it's cool to see somebody. For me, and I say this humbly, it's cool to see somebody who has no experience doing this that turned out as good as this did. And could it be better? Probably so. Could it be worse? Absolutely. I could have really fouled this thing up. But I think we've got a good foundation to work off of, and looking forward to the next one. Hope you guys have enjoyed this, and leave a comment with any suggestions, any feedback. Again, if you're a YouTube person or if you've done a YouTube video on this and you want to link yours in the comments, by all means, please do so. All right, you guys have a great day, and on to our next project.